Hey.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bitcast, episode 100. And in typical season gaming fashion, we thought we were live, and we just did 4 minutes of a show that no one was watching. So we're going to go ahead and start this whole thing over again. So with me today, Dan, the Rally Rodriguez, my partner in crime, who is with us every week here. Bert is back, the Bitcast OG, the guy that we started this Bitcast a few years back, which we'll talk about, the infamous return of Sir Wet Blanket. So just a reminder that if you're excited about something, if there's a new game release coming, new console, if you hear a rumor that's got you excited and you just need to calm down a little bit, reach out to Bert. He will douse that flame faster than you can even blink.
Real quick. It is wet.
So it's nice to have our favorite fake Mexican back in the house. And then for the first time joining us, and I don't have any jokes here, this is Karl Dwyer from across the pond, as we like to say. One of my favorite people I've met on Twitter, a new contributor to Season Gaming, and he's a technical engineer to boot. So, Karl, welcome.
Thank you. Looking forward to it, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll try this whole thing all over again. So now that we, kind of got this going. So, all right. So I figured before we get started, we joke a little bit around how the Bitcast got started. So a few years back, Bert and I were kind of just talking about games every day and, talked about possibly doing a podcast. And so back on May 7th, 2017, we did our very first Bitcast. It was episode 0. It was like a beta run. We actually never published it. And believe me, you're welcome. Because actually, it's probably be funny to go back and look at now. But the topics at the time, which I'll mention again, were Darksiders 3 possibly coming, Battlefield 1 having technical issues, and DICE is still working on those, as we all know. And the Switch had just launched. I don't think at the time anyone knew how popular the Switch would become. So our first published episode, though, was on May 25th in 2017. And we were just joking that the first, I think, 4 episodes of the Bitcast were actually copyright claimed. Because back then, we used to add footage to each episode. And Nintendo will copyright claim you faster than Bert will douse you with his wet blanket. So.
True story. That's quick, too. That's quick.
Yeah, it's quick. And back then, we only did the podcast every 2 weeks, too. We did 2 a month. And so that's why it's taken us a little longer to hit episode 100 here. But it's been a great time. It's been a great ride. We've had some really funny moments over the past few years. It's hard to believe that's 1 month from now. It'll be 3 years since we started this thing.
And didn't we have longer podcasts back then, too? They were like almost 2 hours back in the day.
Some of them were. Yeah, we had a few like hour 40s, hour 45s. Mm-hmm. Just because we were just rambling and we didn't really know how to stay on topic. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. I went back last night and watched a little footage from Zero and a couple others, and I was so nervous. It's just hilarious to look back on.
They were very procedural, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was like I was at work.
Yeah.
And we both and me and Abe's both public speak at work all the time, so it's even weirder.
Yeah. Like I've spoken to, rooms of executives, and yet I'm nervous for doing a podcast that 4 people are ever going to listen to at the time. We're a little more than 4 now, thankfully. So anyway, then, I happened to meet Dan on Twitter, of all places, and realized, I think I've joked about this before, that Dan and I started interacting on Twitter, not even realizing that at the time we lived like 10, 15 minutes apart. So we became friends and asked him on the show. I wanted to ask you guys, Bert, Dan. So I went in and looked last night. Take a guess as to what episode Dan first joined us.
69.
Whoa.
Not your favorite episode.
Oh, not at all. Damn.
Got a guess?
I don't know. So do you mean like what number? Or do you mean
what episode number he first debuted? Because you were originally a guest, and then we asked you full time a couple episodes later. But when did you first guest?
I'm gonna
say 62.
Yeah. I mean, I would guess it's probably around there. Let's say 58.
Okay. So it's funny because I was in the same ballpark. I was like, man, it's probably been 40, 50 episodes, right? You actually first joined us on episode 24.
Holy crap. That's right, because we started doing the weekly thing.
Yeah. So that was April 23rd, 2018. So next week or a week and a half will be 2 years. So yeah, so you've been with us the majority of the time.
That is nuts. Who would've thought?
And we had on that episode, all three of us had just started playing God of War.
Masterpiece, the masterpiece of the game.
Yeah, pretty cool. So pretty cool to go back and listen to last night, although it was definitely different than you were still a digital hoarders, Dan.
Yeah,
you had a digital hoarder shirt on.
That's right. That was a long time ago. Oh, the days of DH.
I also went back last night just for the hell of it, looked through our channel. And our channel, Bert put a new video up on the Elite Controller 2 long-term review, which is blowing up. So thanks to everyone checking that out. And I went back and the first video on our channel, and I know Bert's going to laugh at this one because we laugh about it all the time, is actually I did an unboxing of the For Honor Collector's Edition. And I did it on the floor of my basement in front of a Kinect camera. That's how high quality that one was. I actually thought about removing it from being a published video because it's so bad, but I leave it out there just for the hell of it.
It's epic.
It's awesome.
And I didn't script anything. I literally did it all off the cuff, and it's like a 12-minute video. So yeah, you can imagine how good that went. We do have a couple videos now too that are over 100K. So Bert did a video on the Scuff Elite controller grips. That's 104K, and then our PS4 controller video, Dan, it is 103K. It's about to be the #1 video on the whole channel, believe it or not.
Insane, man.
That's the reason I got the Macon is because that video.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And you are pleased with your choice, I hope.
Oh yeah.
Hey Diego, leave my For Honor unboxing alone, man. The video is epic. You know it was.
Epically bad.
Like, guys, I like this a lot. This statue is really good. Let me scroll down for you.
That's pretty much what it was. That's pretty much what it was. I wish I still had a picture of how I set up to do that video because it was absolutely absurd.
You say your knees were like hurting for a couple days after?
Yeah, I was knelt in front of my coffee table in front of a Kinect camera.
Kinect. Oh, that's right. We were experimenting with the Kinect camera for.
Yeah, we were trying to use the Kinect to get things done. It was ridiculous. So anyway. So I figured we could all talk about kind of what's changed in gaming since we began the Bitcast. So 3 years ago, right, in early 2017. So we think about what's changed. Obviously, PS5 and new Xboxes were not even a conversation. The Xbox One X hadn't even released yet. The PS4 Pro was actually the newest hardware at the time. Games like Spider-Man and God of War had just released. Spider-Man hadn't released yet. It's kind of crazy. The Switch was early in its lifespan, and I don't think anybody, even us, because nobody
would have guessed the success of the Switch.
No.
It's a Nintendo magic piece, isn't it? They just mix up the form factor. They throw a load of IP at it, and it's just a success.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they've done. And I think for me, what sticks out is Microsoft's comeback. And I'll call it that. It is a comeback. And with the focus on, the hardware with the X, what an amazing machine that is. But also, you've seen a load of studio acquisitions, and that shows intent. So that is definitely, for me, that is probably the biggest thing that sticks out. Sony just carry on being Sony.
Sony just, they kind of rolled all generation. They just did things right and stayed with that momentum.
I'm still perplexed at the Switch success. It's still kind of crazy to me that it's still what it is. But hey, Animal Crossing, yo.
That's right, baby.
We were talking a couple of weeks ago around Animal Crossing in Japan, and we were saying that if a game sells 100,000 copies in Japan, that's big news, right? Because Japan's a much smaller market than the U.S., and it's now nearing 3 million in Japan alone.
Gross.
Crazy.
I do that as well. Gross, hideous.
But I think we talked about, though, and I know Bert mentioned this a while ago. I know we talked about it a while ago, at least a year ago on the Bitcast. But they're playing all along, right? But they did the smart thing by phasing out the DS and just making the Switch both the home and portable console. And I think that's really what's crushed it for them. Is it took over both markets, because the DS was always a huge seller for Nintendo. And so if you remove that and just make the home console the same as your portable console, I mean, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they just port over all the games with slightly updated graphics.
They're
and
still
then make
porting
millions.
games.
Oh yeah, and then make millions off of it. It's insane to me.
Well, they're getting ready to do. They're getting ready to do Mario 64, Sunshine Galaxy, and 3D World. You know they're going to sell millions each.
Yeah, because they're going to bundle that crap.
No.
Nintendo, yeah, they're going to be like, here, each one of these are $60. There'll be a sale 2 years from now where you can get them for 50. But
if you're lucky, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'll still buy them.
Didn't we say the same about the Ring Fit? That's going to be like $15 in the discount bin. And
Dude, I didn't buy it because I figured I joked that I'll pick it up for $15, a couple months down the line, and it went the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl, I don't know if you've seen, but it's going for like $300 right now. Might be because of the virus and everybody wants to do something fit and with the Nintendo, but it's stupid how expensive it is now.
Speaking of prior in the generation or since Bitcast started and Kinect, I actually used to use the Xbox Fitness with Kinect. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
They had full-on fitness routines that actually tracked your body movement and heart rate and calorie count and all this, and you could do it in front of your Kinect in your living room and work out, and they had all kinds of cardio programs, and it was actually really, really implemented well, and naturally nobody used it.
Yeah. I think Pudge down there in the bottom still does that.
Yeah, so, no. I've never used a fitness app in my life. I just got done eating a bagel full of cream cheese that was dripping all over my face. I was over there brushing it out. That's why I was a little late to get on here. I was like, oh my God.
Come on now.
Badass. It's just, going to town. And a half a donut. I'm looking at a box of donuts right across from me right now.
All right.
Yeah. Is there a donut simulator?
Goddamn American.
You finished Donut County in like the first day, didn't you?
All I want to do is make it to Cyberpunk 2077. Have a couple playthroughs on it, then I'm good. I can die and not, doesn't matter. Give me my Reese's tickets.
Actually, we're going to talk a little bit about Cyberpunk here shortly.
Fantastic.
Segue. So actually, we're not talking about Cyberpunk right now, but we're going to talk about. I want to hear from each of you on what you continue to love. About not necessarily gaming. I think anyone who listens or watches talks, has a love for gaming in many different ways. But what's something that continues to stand out for you, whether it's the community, gaming in general, something like that.
Well,
yeah, go for it, man.
I've been with gaming since the Atari 2600, so.
Yeah.
Back. Am I showing my age? Probably.
You're in company here. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. But I just think the way it's got to a social point now. I mean, there's people I work with who our routine will be we'll spend time at the moment. We spend time on conference calls all day. We'll go home, and then we'll be on COD till 1 o'clock in the morning. That social thing, that's what's changed. It's only getting bigger. And I think there's going to be less focus on the platform and more focus on the ecosystem going forward. But I think that's still exciting. It's still good.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Man, I don't know what I love about the. I hate the gaming. It sounds so bad, but I hate gaming Twitter, which is part of the whole gaming experience anymore. I just love to game. I mean, I like seeing the innovations. Obviously, you just like and you do meet some good people. You guys, but it's so few and far between. It's almost not even worth it anymore because of what it's become. However, I'm like right now with all this stuff going on. It's nice to be able to kind of go back, hit your backlog up. And see, and then see these stories start coming out that we'll talk about here in a little bit that are, all the new innovations and, where it's going, the new consoles coming out. I got super pumped about a controller that I had no idea, just like looking at it, so it's cool to kind of still have those feelings this far into my hobby, you know what I mean? So it's still exciting. I'm hoping that, we continue down that track. We get everything that we want to get, coming up this year. Who knows, man? I mean, I'm glad I met some of you guys, and I'm really happy to be able to do the podcast with you guys. And that's another cool part of this whole thing. We didn't have this back in the day. It was forums and stuff where you kind of got on there and talked with people. And being able to do this with all this new technology is super awesome. And be able to share it with, some other people that, have the same kind of hobbies and stuff. It's awesome, man.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Dan. You know, you got a bunch of social media, just a bunch of booty hole comments going on, and I got over it like a long time ago. And it was one of the biggest things that I hated about gaming at the time was just how bad Twitter and social media is, and it's kind of toxic to one of the main reasons I kind of stepped away from a lot of gaming. But the actual gaming community and gaming with your friends is what brings you back every single time. You might be having a rough time in your personal life, might be having a rough time somewhere else, and just having those stupid nights where you're gaming, whether it be a sports game, a shooter game, you got someone raging on the other side just cracking you up, or your friends being goofy or something. It's all a lot of fun. So,
do I need to play Lollipop? I can do it live.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
That's an old joke. Don't worry about that one. We had a friend who we game with that got so mad at us one time because we were getting our asses kicked on. Well, we were playing Halo, right?
We're playing Halo.
Yeah, we were playing Halo, getting our asses kicked so bad, and yet we were drunk and we were being goofy and just laughing. And he got so mad that he actually muted us in the party, yet stayed in the party and kept playing. And we're like, what the hell's going on? And it's a long story, but we've all had those moments, right? I think that's what each of you just spoke to. Is that's what one of the things I like best is always just playing with friends and hanging out. And that's why I talk about those types of games all the time, because some of my favorite memories in gaming are playing in parties and just joking and chatting and just having a good time. So I think all of us, well, not Dan, but I think all of us, I know Karl, we were talking about trying to play some Warzone too. Bert, Karl's a big Warzone player, and we're just the time zone. The time zone always screws it up, but we'll get there soon.
Yep.
So, excuse me. So,
fun fact, just before you go on, me and my missus, I'm going to use an Englishism there. Is that all right?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
I call my wife something else, but
you can call her
whatever you want. I mean, you're not going to.
Me and my I was going to say it, but she's actually in the next room. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be wise. But no, we actually before we got together. We actually played through Gears of War on the Xbox 360 in co-op. Yeah, so there's gaming for you. You know what I mean? It goes back.
That's fantastic. Yeah, my wife used to play. She gets motion sickness now when she tries to play anything that has like active motion. But she used to play Halo, like in multiplayer with us and everything. She wasn't very good, but she tried.
One time she assassinated me on Halo, and she goes, "You got assassinated by a girl," and I was like, "Damn!" I was like, "Trisha getting real here."
If only she knew that it wasn't that uncommon. It wouldn't have been.
That's when Bert muted the party and started cussing.
Yeah, that story was about Bert. Yeah,
that was me. Yeah.
So one of the other things we're going to talk about before we really get into the topics of the week were really around, how do we each think gaming is going to evolve? And it's a good time to talk about it, right? Because we're on the cusp of next gen, even though there's no generations, but we've got the new consoles coming out, hopefully still in the fall. We've got things like xCloud, right? Stadia is booming. But Stadia is out there. It's there. It's playable. 2 months free right now.
Yeah, right now.
By the way. But Karl, you wrote a fantastic article. Your first article for the it's obviously longer term, but especially in the next 18 to 24 months, I'd say probably the next 2 years, it's going to be a lot of changes. I think from where we are today by then. And I just don't know what you guys like. You don't really have to guess where it's going, but what are your thoughts on, or what would you like to see as we get into next gen? What type of new technology would you like to get into? Karl, you can start with you, man.
Do it, Karl.
I think VR is going to be a big one, but because who'd have thought Half-Life Alyx would be as popular as it is?
Yeah, man.
It's boosted VR sales for Valve's
Index. The Index. Yeah.
So that shows you there's some type of there's a market there for it. But I was only thinking this the other day. There's all the infrastructure that we've got in place now. You don't really need an Xbox Live. You don't really need a PlayStation Network. The studios, if they really wanted to, could just go straight to the market. They can go straight to the end user. All that technology is in place now, and it might get to a point in the future where these software houses, Xbox Studios, for instance, is like your Netflix, and they just have a bunch of titles that just get pumped out. You just consume it, you know? And you know, it might be something like that. I mean, I can't see Sony going that way because they're really focused on hardware, and they still are. I mean, you heard Cerny. I mean, that was a church sermon. I don't know.
We joked about, of all the ways to present information on your console the first time, it was like, why would you choose that?
My daughter walked past and went, "Who was that psycho?" And it just went.
He put me to sleep in a calming manner.
He is not a good facilitator. I give him that. But yeah, I think you know Sony's still hardware. Microsoft are a bit more forward thinking, probably because they have to be. But they realize they're not going to sell as many units. I don't think.
Right.
Being a bit smarter behind that and saying the ecosystem is where their value is, and you know what, it is. You know, the likes of Game Pass will grow. But people saying it isn't going to affect all of the studios. It's the future. It's you know, things don't stay the same. They move on. It's just the way it is. You know.
Yeah. No, it's true. They said the same thing about Netflix and you know everything that we use today. That the whole world is using more than ever right now as we speak. Right. You heard the same comments around when that stuff started to kind of get big. I don't think we even need to talk about Blockbuster. Right. They didn't think it was going to change, and look what happened to them. So I think, yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I know you and I have talked about this offline, you know, a lot. But it is interesting. I think, to your point, I think Game Pass is just that foot in the door. You know, if people think Game Pass is going to be the same as it is today, a few years from now, you're fooling yourself, right? It's going to be a completely different way of accessing games. So, I don't know. Bert, hit it.
So, wet blanket here again. Wet blanket again for content.
Take the wet blanket away.
So actually, I think consoles are here to stay. I don't think the full cloud gaming is going to be coming until maybe another generation. I think it'll introduce itself into next generation. I think it'll be an option for people, but I don't think it takes off yet. I think it'll be the PS6 or whatever that ends up being, and then the Xbox Series X2 or whatever that ends up being. But I do think that digital will be the way to go to purchase games. I think physical will slowly go away.
You shut your mouth.
Hey, that's the wet blanket. That's the wet blanket coming out. And I think eventually what they'll probably do is just release like steelbooks with no game in them, and they give you a code, and then you will be able to play it or something.
Sad but true.
Yeah. But no, and then to Karl's point, I think subscription gaming is here to stay. I think Game Pass is going to be massive next generation. It already is this generation. And then I think PS Now and then PlayStation Plus will still be there. And I think it'll increase the catalog, and you'll be able to share that across the consoles and whatever they are today. But I think your overall traditional console at-home gaming will still remain quite the same next generation. And I think 4K will be a big thing, and I think 4K 60 will be the goal for pretty much everything. So people are going to be buying those new TVs and stuff like that. But I don't think it's going to be as different as it is today. And Karl, also to your point with VR, I'm not sure if VR is going to take off as much in the console space. I think it'll take off massively in the PC space. And not as much from home consoles. I thought PSVR was a lot of fun, but I'm still only was interested in 4 or 5 games of that, and the rest of it was kind of, it was all right. But if they had some awesome headset coming, I'm interested in it.
Well, I agree. I think so. You know what? I don't even think the new consoles can do proper 4K VR or high def VR, whatever you're gonna call it. I just don't see them doing it. I mean, you get a top whack PC costing $2,000 these days, and that struggles. So
yeah, I'm anxious. To your point about PSVR, we all have it, right? I haven't touched my PSVR, and I don't know the last time I turned it on. I forgot I even have it half the time. Honestly, it's stuffed away. It'd be nice to break it out, but yeah, I'm anxious to see where that goes. I'd like to see it do better. They have to figure out a way. You guys know, right? Just setting up PSVR. Like, I'll think about having to set it up, and I'm like, I'm just gonna play something else. You know, it's just like, it's a hassle. You've got to get VR to the point of low cost of entry and easy accessibility, right? That's the only way it's going to take off more, in my opinion, is where you can just sit there completely wireless, and I can just go like a controller, put it on, use it, no other issue.
Yeah, for me, it's been more of a fun thing with friends. They'll come over, play a couple games for 15, 20 minutes, and then we switch right back to split screen something. It's not something that we stay playing the whole night. I mean, you can't really, but Yeah, I haven't used mine that much at all.
You have like 6 headsets in one room and you're all playing multiplayer together.
Yeah, well, in that initial demo disc, there was a few games where you'd have one person with the headset and then 4 other people could play like something that supports the person with the headset. But none of the games really outside of the demo disc really did anything else beyond that.
You never explored it, did you? You just left it.
Not at all.
Yeah. Dan, what do you want to see, man?
I'm gonna get in that blanket with Bert there, and
Whoa!
you know what I'm saying?
Turn your camera off, please. Actually, turn your audio off too. Turn it all off, please.
Yeah, just don't make me stand up right now. You're not gonna like what you see. Anyway,
Can I be the big spoon, Dan?
Yeah. What?
No?
Wait, I wish I could put up the picture of Bert standing next to Dan to give the size comparison of these two.
Oh, man. Okay. Anyway, you know what? I mean, I think you're right, Bert. I think you're right with the, at least with the xCloud stuff and the Stadia stuff. I just don't think it's really at that point where it's a nice option for sure. I don't think this gen will really see. I mean, maybe as far as like using it on your PC. But I'm still really waiting to see like what the price point is. Are they going to roll this into the subscription model that they already have? Because it can't stay free forever, I would think. Or are they going to charge a little bit extra? It's going to be about price. And for me, it is anyway, because I mean, I used it a little bit to try it out, and when it first came out, and now it's. I mean, I don't think I totally don't even know why I bought like that clip that goes to my phone. But it's nice to go, like, you know, when you're at the in-laws and stuff for sure. But short of that, you know, as far as VR and stuff goes, I'm kind of in the same boat you guys. We did that video, actually. I don't know when it was. Maybe
it was a while ago now. Year and a half ago, maybe.
We talked about, and we were kind of on top. You know, we were kind of all for it. You know, at the time, I think that was when they had those big sales.
Yeah, that's when Bert and I bought it initially. That $199 package. Yeah,
same thing. Yeah, and they do have some really cool games, and it is a really cool little feature. And to Bert's point, I think it's really more of like a friends and family kind of thing. There are a couple games, Gun or Blood and Truth, I think was that one I reviewed. And that was really fun for me.
Astrobot
was amazing. Yeah.
You know, but there's a lot of novelty to it, you know, and I think if they make it, like you said, Ains, you know, more accessible, more consumer friendly as far as from a price point, very accessible, get in on the bottom floor. They come out with a PS5 and they've got a new VR headset. People are going to be excited, but then they're going to probably see the price and go, "Oh, well, that's insane to play that much." And you want, like you said, you want a wireless headset like they have, like the Vive or the Oculus, whatever one is wireless now. But you know, it's such a hassle. My kids play it actually quite a bit, you know, when their friends come over. But short of that, there hasn't been that game. I was waiting for Iron Man, and that would have got me back into it, and then that got delayed till whenever, indefinitely, or you know.
They don't have a date for it.
No idea. So, other than those things, I mean, I want it. Does it sound like old curmudgeony Dan? Old
no, we already have one wet blanket. All right, I don't need two. I don't need a wet comforter.
I'm gonna go wet and moldy. So I like the way things are right now. I really do. I like, you know, I'd like to see innovations in like the graphics department, maybe, you know, and innovations, you know, but I want the same experience. I want to sit on my recliner and kick back with the Diet Dr. Pepper and a big bag of pretzels and, you know, just play my games. That's what I want. I want that experience. You know, that's my hobby. That's what it's always been to me. It's never been like, you know, and you know, be able to play with friends also at the same time, you know, as long as they keep the core tenets of what's, you know, the hobby is, I think we'd be fine, you know, and then just kind of build on that. But you don't go out and like to your at your expense is what I'm saying, I guess.
You want evolution, not revolution.
Right.
I think Bert. I think to Bert's point, I don't think that experience goes away. Not any time in the near future, for sure. I think, you know, even Phil Spencer has commented, like, even with xCloud being actually rolled out, he's already said that he believes a console under your TV is still going to be the best place to play.
Yep.
Right, because you're local, you're native. It's, you know, you don't rely on anything else. You're there, and that's going to be the best experience. And I think for the tens and millions or even hundreds of millions that play that way today. I don't think that's going to change.
So, and to be honest with you, like a lot of people still just play the same old games. Like we had Skip in our comments there talking about Streets of Rage and Street Fighter. You know, there's some people that only look for those games. There's some people that only look for the Madden or the FIFA, maybe the F1 game or Call of Duty. Maybe that's
F1. No one's looking for the F1 game.
Everybody plays F1. Anyways, they might be playing those games, and that's all they do. That's your typical casual gamer. Whatever. But actually, Karl, I had a question for you. In the UK, did PSVR take off? I know UK is a little bit more PlayStation centric than the States, but did that take off at all or not really?
Not really, no, if I'm being honest. And I think the same as you, I waited till it came down in price and just picked it up for a cheap Christmas present just for my daughter. But back to Dan's point there, I think it is the kids. The kids really get VR.
Yep.
I mean, my youngest daughter, she's 10 and she really loves Work Simulator.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's the weirdest
That's awesome.
stuff, man.
My nephews love that game.
Wait 5 years, you'll have plenty of experience with that later on. You know what I mean? You don't need to flip burgers virtually. You can do that for real. Just but you know, it has. Oh, the kids get it. I mean, I to be honest, I'm waiting for Dreams to go VR, and I might.
That'd be cool. Yeah. In fact, I was an early supporter of Dreams, and I haven't played it since. I need to go back in there.
I heard No Man's Sky in VR is fantastic.
I need to try that too.
Yeah.
So you guys are going to make me bust it out, which is cool. I remember I have it now. I didn't remember I had it until we talked about it. So, Z Black actually asked a question. Bill Stillwell, who we interviewed at E3, Bert, and we did the xCloud article on. Really great guy with the Xbox. Xbox team, and I still talk to him on Twitter here and there. He actually just announced he's leaving the xCloud program that he's helped kind of build up, because they're getting ready. They're obviously expanding to other countries and whatnot, but he's moving over to the VR and AR department under Microsoft, working on HoloLens and some of those other things.
Yeah.
So, we haven't really talked about, I almost said alternate reality, you know what I mean? Augmented reality, and whether or not that's ever going to have a play in the gaming space. They did that Minecraft demo, but HoloLens is a $3,500 piece of equipment, right? It's not made for consumers. It'd be interesting to see in the future if augmented reality has any sort of play in the gaming space.
That demo was awesome, by the way, back in the day.
Yeah, it was amazing when they first showed it, and it was like, oh man, this could change everything, and then nothing really came of it.
Yeah.
So shout out real quick to Chad, Z Black Native, Dizzy, good to see you, man. And yeah, Dizzy, I told you when you ordered your shirt, you ordered the exact same one as Dan, which is awesome.
Fantastic.
Same color and everything. So thanks guys for joining us. All right. What do you think? Jump into some of this stuff, some of the weekly topics.
Yes.
We've got we did a weekly poll. Say it again.
I was gonna say any other fun questions in chat. We let's see.
Did I miss a question?
I said, is there any other fun questions?
No, I've been keeping an eye while you guys were talking. I don't think there's any other questions. If you guys want us to talk about something, holler it up.
Native was talking about xCloud for the S9. So Native, I have an S8 that I used to have for work, and I tried it out. It runs pretty well. I would like to hear your opinion, I should say, once you get that back up and running. I had a ton of lag in my experience with the Samsung device, but it looks cool.
I had no problem with the Note. Things, except they weigh 8,000 pounds.
I was gonna say your phone is huge, man. It's huge. It's like a tablet.
But I can't see, man. My eyes suck.
You've developed that arthritis on your wrist.
Cataracts.
You got that arthritis kicking in, like.
When I walk downstairs, my knees pop like it's popcorn popping. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, I can't sneak up on a single person. I'm like the anti.
Oh my god.
Pop, 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 pop.
Oh my god. We're all getting old, man. That's why we're seasoned gamers. We're going to have to change it to old gamers in the future. Oldgaming.com. We're going to have to get the new URL.
I have like a couple guys with old gaming and then like a wet blanket like dragging it across. So.
I was working out the other day. I swear, like every rep, it was like crunching in about 8 different spots. And I'm like, I don't think the body's supposed to sound like this, Yeah. Oh, well, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, Karl, I don't know. I don't think any of the three of us were interested. Are you playing Final Fantasy VII?
No, but you know what? I was thinking about downloading it tonight because I'm bored and I've finished everything I had backlog for work. So I was thinking, how can I waste some money or potentially?
Yeah.
Good call. I got that game.
Dan can certainly help you with that.
Yeah.
Let's watch the comments. Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can have a go at. I remember playing it years ago, so be good to see how it's evolved. Yeah.
Yeah, so our weekly poll this week was about it because obviously it's a huge release. People have been waiting on it for years now, and so we did a poll basically asking what people think of it, and overwhelmingly people say it's incredible. We got a lot of comments saying it's bringing back a lot of nostalgia, a lot of flashbacks of their childhood, and we had 24% that said it missed the mark, but I'm guessing some of those are trolls. I'm not even really counting those guys. To be honest,
I actually asked a question on it. I was like, "How did it miss the mark? Please expand on it." I mean,
no one responded, did they?
No. But I think it's trolling. To be honest, it's just the Xbox guys just wanting to say Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it could be. And we can't help that. But I think overwhelmingly people are enjoying it. It's getting rated really well. Looks incredible. I've seen some footage of people playing it that they've been posting from streams and clips and whatnot. It goes without saying, I've said before many times over that I love Final Fantasy, but 7 just didn't do it for me. I'm not a fan, so I'm not picking it up. But I was hoping, if you guys. I didn't think you did. You pick it up, Dan? I didn't think you were going to.
It's funny because with all this, I was kind of on the same boat where I was like, yeah, I'm good. I did love Final Fantasy VII. I really did. That was the first one I ever played, actually. So I went back and played the other ones after that.
Did you play the Super Nintendo ones?
I played pretty much every one that I could. So
okay.
The issue is I've got such a huge backlog, but and I don't know how long is the game? Does anybody know how long? What kind of? I'm a big content value guy. I want to.
Oh, remake the section of it?
Yeah, this is only part of it, right?
Yeah, it's only part, but I haven't seen that actually. I haven't seen anyone speak to how long it is. Does anyone know?
It's 20 to 30 if you unlock everything. It's over 2 discs also, or in your case, Dan, it's a big file for digital.
Dan's like, what's a disc?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. No, it just bothers me that they're doing it in sections because even though you played it already, you know what basically happens.
Carl gets it. He's like, we spent, they stopped development on that game, started over, and it's been in development since 2015, right, or 2014. So Carl's got it right. They got to recoup that money. They're making money.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
they're making a killing. It's sold out everywhere. Initially, I bought it. I've gotten about 2 hours into it, and I actually had a second copy. And I was like, let me list it on Facebook just to see if it'll sell really quick. I had 3 buyers within 15 minutes, and I sold it within the hour of listing it for $75. And now it's sold out everywhere. Even the standard edition sold out everywhere. The hard one to find was the deluxe edition. It was only $20 more, and it had a few extra pieces of content. That goes for $180 right now on resale.
We're out there price gouging.
Oh, they are. Yep.
Yep. So shout out to chat really quick, man. We got Tim A, 58-year-old gamer here.
Yeah.
Been a fun ride and keeps getting better. Damn right, Tim. That's awesome, man. I still, every once in a while you see comments of people really stupid comments. I'm over 40. Can I still play video games? It's like, get off, move along. I don't even want to hear from you idiots anymore. I don't know if you guys know, there's a not famous, but there's a well-known person in the community. I forget her name now, but who I'm talking about. She streams Skyrim, but she's 75, 80 years old, and she's really well known in the Skyrim community. Mm-hmm. She's got 200,000 followers on Twitter. But anyway, she's a grandmother, and she's 80 years old, and she plays Skyrim all the time. I'm sure someone will know what I'm talking about. But shout out to Z-Black. Shizno, nice to see you, man. Danny, what's up? So thanks for joining us today, guys.
Danny had a good correction there. So he said about 40 hours to beat the game. And I just double checked. If you want to unlock everything in the first chapter, I guess you call it, it's 50 hours. So it is a pretty lengthy game.
Pretty big game. And they said they did expand upon things. There's new stuff, right? They really kind of did it. It looks like, we talked last year about how good the Resident Evil 2 remake was and how they really paid a good homage to the original game. And it feels like this is along those same lines. The people who love Final Fantasy, the people who adore this game really seem to like this. So it's cool to see. Yeah. Very cool to see. How's it look? You playing on the Pro on 4K, right, Bert?
Always. Come on now.
I don't know. A wet blanket might have broke your TV. I don't know.
No, it's absolutely stunning. I mean, one of the things that I will say, whatever devs are doing with the PlayStation 4 Pro, looks absolutely gorgeous with these games that are coming out. Now, obviously, the cutscenes look better. If you remember, I think it was called Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, which was the CGI that came from Squaresoft movies back in the day before they merged into Square Enix. This looks like way better than that, and it's kind of crazy how good it looks. The gameplay is cool. If it's not turn-based, so if you expected turn-based Final Fantasy VII, it's not that. It's really cool. It's a lot more action-based, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I just have a lot to play.
Yeah, nice. I missed a comment by Z Black when we were talking about the phones. He said, "I'm still clutching my Windows phone." One of the 8 people still using the Windows phone. I think Jez is there though. Jez famously loves the Windows phone, right? He's
got those tiles though.
Yeah, man. Yeah, wasn't a bad idea. Microsoft has that habit. I think anyone in the Carl, you probably see it too, right? Like Microsoft will get into a market and have some really good ideas, and then they just abandon it. They've done that with a lot of products.
Just do it all the time, and then someone like Apple comes along and just makes it white and shiny, and then sells it 3 times the price.
Exactly right. Exactly right. All right, so we've talked about Cyberpunk, right? I think pretty much everyone in the world excited for this one. So we did get some really good news this week. They had a investor Q&A with the president of CD Projekt Red this week, and we covered that on our site. But long and the short of it is, the good news is Cyberpunk is complete. The game is complete. Everything they're doing between now and release in September is polish and tuning. They're fully confident the game will still release in September because of that, and they even commented how they moved to work from home prior to most companies, and they also have a tremendous amount, and this shouldn't be surprising, a tremendous amount of funds stored away for basically disaster recovery, right? So if something like is happening right now with coronavirus, the company can still stay afloat because they basically have bank, thanks to obviously The Witcher. They also made a really cool announcement that the DLC for the game, single-player DLC, will be similar to The Witcher 3 in scope, and they will announce what it's going to be, the expansion pass, prior to the core game releasing in September, just like they did for The Witcher 3 as well. So I think all of us who are pumped for this game are even more excited now. We were kind of talking last week, right? We were joking about all the game delays, and we don't know if Halo is going to release. Last of Us is now indefinite. But it looks like for Cyberpunk, which I think when we did the poll was our most anticipated game by most of the community, looks to be good here in a few months. So who wants to talk first? Dan, go ahead, man. Take that wet blanket off. Get excited about something.
This is the only thing that I can't be excited about at the moment. So first of all, when they came out and they said, hey, we're going to, even if it's just a digital release, if we're having issues with the physical release, we're still going to release it. That's the plan. That made me so happy that I about jumped up and down, because as we know with Last of Us 2, that's probably the main reason right now that it's not coming out. Well, according to Sony, there could be other.
That's what they're saying,
right? Right. So, which makes them look like you're just being greedy and bastards about it, and I can't stand it. So when they said this, it just kind of gave me it was just like that, the warm blanket of comfort, kind of washed all over me. So I'm super excited about it. The fact that the DLC is going to be in the same scope as The Witcher 3's, that's insane. What was it, Blood and Wine, I think it was like its own game. I mean, it was longer than most other games that you play.
Yeah, it's like 40 to 50 hours if you did everything.
Gross. And I love it. I can't wait for September. Like I said, as long as I live till then, I'm good to go. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I have I do have the collector's edition. I think I don't even want to say. I think I have like 4 copies of the game pre-ordered, because Best Buy is doing 3 different steelbooks with like art from some of the artists in the game, and so I want to make sure I get all of them. So I'm an idiot. I've got like 4 copies pre-ordered.
Perfect.
But yeah, I'm super, super, super excited for this. Carl, I know we haven't talked about Cyberpunk before. Is this up your alley? Did you get into The Witcher?
The Witcher? What's the... No.
Let me remove him from the show real quick. Hold on.
To be fair, I downloaded it on my Steam years ago, but I never really played it. It's just sitting there, so I don't have time to get around to it. But Cyberpunk, definitely. Definitely Cyberpunk. Oh,
we just lost Bert.
You hit the wrong button.
No.
That wasn't me. I didn't touch it. I think Bert, he's got a... Hey, Bert.
Rejoining.
Hey, there he
Hey
is.
man, welcome to the podcast.
Is this technology?
We're running on Stadia. You doing all right?
I got kicked and I had to rejoin. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. I actually, my hands are over here. It's on camera. I didn't touch it. So, Carl, you were saying?
Yeah, Cyberpunk definitely. I do like the look of it, the style and everything. And wasn't there something in the media recently where they were saying that the upgrade to the X and the
Yes.
PS5 version? Well, PS5 version. What are they going to do? Probably Sony with that is going to be.
Yeah, Sony's going to be like, yeah, you can buy the PS5 version, but Xbox came out and said with CD Projekt Red that they will do the Series X upgrade for free, but it won't be at Series X launch. It'll be sometime possibly in the future. Yeah.
But that just makes you think how much more are they going to pump into that? And is it going to look any different? Probably. So, I'm excited for that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would assume, if you want, obviously, you have a really high-end PC, that's going to be the best place to play it if you just want pure graphics and frame rate, right? Like a lot of games. Bert, you still pumped about Cyberpunk?
I can't wait. The problem is it's so far away. I was more excited about Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
And now that that's pushed out, I guess the main thing to be excited for is Cyberpunk. One of the things that I found interesting is when we were at E3 2019, they already told us that most of the game was done already, that they were polishing back then. So the fact that they're polishing even more means it better come out pretty polished. So I'm excited about that. And I did hear the big talk about the DLC is going to be massive, just as big as Witcher and stuff like that. And that has me super excited too, because like exactly what Dan said, when you would go back and play Blood and Wine and stuff, it was, I'd argue, almost better than the original vanilla game to an extent.
Yeah,
but
it was fantastic.
If it's going to be somewhere near that quality, I'm super excited for it. So very excited.
And Hearts of Stone, like the depth of the expansion wasn't great, but the story in Hearts of Stone was fantastic as well. Just incredible.
Great writing.
So yeah, you're right. They were talking about polishing already last year, but if you remember, they did the same thing with The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 was delayed 3 times.
Yep.
And when it came out, it obviously did really well. So I'm hoping for the same thing here. CD Projekt Red hasn't let us down yet, so let's knock on wood. Yeah, Z Black. So I had the same thing. There was talk around Microsoft and Xbox kind of aligning Cyberpunk with the launch of the Series X at one point, but I don't know. We'll see if that happens. I hope that happens because I'd love to see that. So, but speaking of PlayStation 5, the big thing we got this week, which caused all kinds of chaos as usual, is the controller. So it's kind of funny if you guys remember months and months ago, PlayStation came out and said, we don't know what we're going to call the controller for the PlayStation 5. And everyone's like, it's been the DualShock 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have a guess. It's probably going to be the DualShock 5. And then sure enough, they came out and they called it the DualSense, which just sounds stupid to me. But the controller itself, I know Bert, Dan, and I were talking kind of on chat and previously about it. I know you guys both really liked what you saw right out of the gates. I was a little more mixed on it. So Carl, we'll start with you, man. And what are your thoughts on this controller? So form factor wise, they definitely went more towards the Xbox shape, right? It looks to be a little bigger, a little larger handles. They're keeping the parallel thumbsticks. They added haptic feedback. And they added a mic as well. And by the way, there was some question whether or not it was going to have a 3.5 millimeter audio port because they didn't show that in the pictures, but Sony did come out and confirm it does still have the audio port. So what do you think, Carl?
I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks portless. It looks all white and blue and cool. But to the point, it looks bigger. And I think the one criticism I've got of the DualShock is it was quite small. And it didn't feel premium. And this, on the surface, it looks premium. It looks big. It looks bigger. It looks more. It does look more like an Xbox pad, and I like that. I mean, I've got the Nacon controller, and that's got the right layout for the thumbsticks. That's my own sort of criticism.
Yeah, me too.
But the other things in it, the fact that it doesn't have rumble in it, it has haptics. So what you have on your iPhone, if you've got an iPhone and you flick through you're setting an alarm and you flick through, you can physically feel the dial turning. Them type of things in it are going to be pretty cool. And the tension of the triggers, see how that's gonna work. Whether or not it's revolutionary, nah, but still, it's cool. It's cool, yeah.
Yeah, I think, one of the questions, and I know we've talked about this before, but, like Microsoft, or Xbox on the Xbox One has the tension triggers, and really the only thing that ever uses it is Forza, and it's awesome in Forza because you can feel like your tires slipping, right, and acceleration and peeling out and stuff. But really, a lot of developers just kind of ignore those little features. So it's going to be interesting to see on a broad scale, outside of just a handful of first-party games, if any other developers start to use some of these features. But I do think it is cool that Sony's adding them. So
yeah.
Hey, the Mexican-looking guy, why don't you go ahead?
I don't know, man. He's been inside too long, man.
Yeah, you're looking a little pale, man. You feeling all right?
pale.
You don't have a fever, do you?
Yeah.
A little cough. Shortness of breath. Actually, that's probably not funny right now, but I'm excited for it. I mean, everybody's talking about it being bigger and filling your hand. I never known a man that's ever turned down a little bit more extra grip. You got to get that grip. But I think it looks fantastic. I've seen all the funny things that someone said it looked like Mario's overalls. To me, it looks like an anime character. I think it looks really cool overall. I have heard that the haptic feedback triggers and stuff are a little bit different than what Microsoft was doing because the technology is slightly different. So I'm interested to see what that is. And more than anything, it's almost like you'll sell all this stuff, but will the developers actually do anything with it? And that's what happened with Microsoft. It was a great technology. It still is, but no one did anything with it. Yeah. So I think the form factor is great. I'm not a fan of the colors. I like the black rendering that people have done and gone in there and added that. And if you could add the triangle, circle, square, X, and everything to it in a nice color as well, it could look fantastic. But I think it's cool. I actually want to see the console more than the controller. I just want to see what it's about. But it was a surprise out of nowhere.
Yeah, I like that render that we posted up, the one that kind of looked like the controller, but it was a tower like the Series X. I was like, hell, I'll have 2 towers. I think that would be cool as hell. It's going to be interesting to see what Sony does with it. But Dan, what are your thoughts, man? Did you see the Spider-Man render they did?
Yeah, it's so awesome. Good. Yeah. So good. Here's the thing. When I saw it the first time, I'm actually a big fan of those colors. I love that high contrast color when they do stuff like that. I've always been a big white and black fan. Like, just because, it doesn't have to be.
Go on.
Yes. Live, right? But most of my everything, I had the, just my headsets were either, that bright white, headset. I love those colors when they're put together and used like that. I think it looks really, really good. As far as functionality goes, I have no idea because I haven't held a damn thing. But if everything they say, it looks nice. It looks, like it'll fit a little bit better. It looks a little bit more like the Nacon side from the where the thumbsticks are placed, which those are fine with me. I really don't have that big of an issue with I prefer the offset, obviously, but that's just because that's how I've been playing for years and years and years. Since the OG Xbox, and so I thought I was going to have when I first got the PS4. I thought I was going to have that issue with like the thumbs, being. It's really not that big of an adjustment now. To Carl's point, it doesn't really feel like a premium controller. It's so light, and I like, I hope it's got a little bit more weight to it. Mm-hmm. That's a really big thing for me. Like the Elite 2, it's got that weighty heftiness, and it's just I love that.
That girth,
yeah, it's what I'm used to, when I'm handling things. So, I mean, my hands aren't even that big, so maybe it's not a illusion. I don't know. We won't go there. But here's the thing.
Back on track, please. Back on track.
I think what people thought. I mean, my favorite thing that Sony does is they like to come out and try to trump Microsoft. Like they'll come out and they'll be like, "Hey, we've got an Inside Xbox today. Well, we're going to release the picture of this."
Yeah, 45 minutes prior to the live show.
And destroy. I mean, as far as views and stuff like that, they're awesome at it, and they know what they're doing. It's like it's totally intentional.
We talk about all the time. In terms of marketing, PlayStation's always been at the top of the game.
Exactly, man. And I don't know. I just love it. I think it looks really good. I hope they keep those colors. I'm really interested, like Bert said, to see what the console looks like. If they do that kind of same, just that very high contrast color palette. I guess it's really not a palette because it's like basically 2 colors. but I do like that look. I really do. I hope they kind of release like something like that for the X, where it's like a white tower and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Yeah. So
can I say two more things, James? Or
of course not. You're done.
What I was gonna say is I hope that they've improved the battery life. Is one of the things.
Yeah.
The internal battery is horrible on the PlayStation. I have an original launch one, and it didn't last longer than 30 minutes to an hour towards the end of that's life and before I replaced it. So I'm hoping somewhere in at least the 10 to 12 range as far as the way that lasts. And the other thing is the light bar, with it being now on the front of the controller and on the sides, I guess that means that if they do go VR, that they're going to need their own controller for that, because you'll no longer be able to use that unless it's a whole new tech that they're going to use. And lastly, the 3.5 millimeter jack is at the very bottom for headsets and stuff. A lot of people were asking if that actually exists on the controller, and it does. So
I just said that. Are you even paying attention?
I'm doing the three things.
So it's funny. So a few comments by people. So first of all, Brother Badir from Kuwait joining us live. So welcome. That is fantastic. Wilmie's in the house as well. Wilmie, thanks for stopping by, man. Yeah, so Tim A said, my initial thoughts on the DualSense was it looked more like an aftermarket controller. And that's what I think when we talked in chat when they first released it and you sent me the picture, that's kind of my first thought too. I was like, that's why I asked you guys, I was like, what is that controller for? Because I seriously didn't think it was the PlayStation 5 controller. I thought it was like a Power A for something. Like they were making a new like thing. So I'm like the wet blanket on this one because I like that I like the form factor of it, and I like the black render to Bert's point when they did the render with the colored PlayStation icon buttons, I like that a lot, but there's a few things that just drive me crazy about the PlayStation controller. The thumbsticks are I don't like the way they're shaped, and they're too shallow. They're really, really shallow, which is not good for just aiming. Even on my Elite 2, I use that tall stick. And then the triggers are really like flat and short, which I hate. I like proper triggers that are kind of curved up and you can wrap your fingers in. We'll leave that one alone. And the D-pad. I'm a big 2D game guy, The whole PlayStation D-pad that's like 4 separate buttons is freaking terrible. I don't know why they continue to do that. If you look at any like aftermarket controller, whether it's the Elite 2, any of the PlayStation aftermarkets, the fight pads, they all use radial D-pads. I don't know why PlayStation refuses to switch. Like, makes no sense to me. So, God damn it. Now I'm mad.
No, it's because, that's, you don't need the D-pad to play third-person over-the-shoulder shooters, So
That's true. Boom, dropping it. Playing those template games.
Yeah. We're the only one that plays platformers too. So
yeah. No, like I play what game? Hollow Knight. I played a lot of on my PS4, and on the Nacon it's not a problem. The Nacon actually has a really good D-pad, but on the DualShock 4 it's just garbage. And all of the points you guys made too. It's too small today, so I like the bigger size. The other thing you mentioned about the Elite, Dan, is that the quality of the plastic makes a big difference when you're holding a controller. Like when you hold the Elite 2, it's a good feeling controller. The material, right? The plastic on the DualShock 4 is just so we'll see. All right, man. So this is one I know Dan right up his alley. Resident Evil 8. So Resident Evil 8. I know it's cool to have Bert back for this episode because Bert is one of the biggest Resident Evil fans around. He and I know we both love Resident Evil 7. So leaked this week that seems to be credible. There was a lot of rumors going around about Resident Evil 8 that we didn't really publish because it was a bunch of nonsense. But luckily we got what seems to be some kind of good data here. So it's titled Village. It's going to take place in Europe. It's definitely first person again, like Resident Evil 7. Ethan, the main protagonist from Resident Evil 7, returns, as does Chris Redfield. And it's going to be more psychological horror with a witch, apparently, who torments the player as you go through the game. So what we know about this game sounds really, really good. It's supposed to release in early 2021, which kind of makes sense because Resident Evil 7 released in early, 2017 now? 2018? It's been a few years. But yeah, really excited for this one. Carl, I don't know where you stand on horror games. You big into them?
Not the Resident Evil, no. My oldest daughter plays it now and again, but she played some of the remakes. But I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan of Res.
Okay. You play any of the other horror games or not really?
I'll tell you what I played. I played what's that one that was on the Xbox?
Evil Within?
Blair Witch?
No, Blair Witch.
Oh yeah, Blair Witch. Yeah.
I played that the other day, which was all right, to be fair.
I finished it and reviewed it. I like that game a lot. It's a little slow when it starts, but the latter half of that game gets really good.
Yeah, and I'm just waiting for another Dead Space. I mean, where's Dead Space now? You know?
Now we're talking.
Yeah. Don't EA, man. The whole Visceral's gone. I mean, they shut the whole studio down. So who knows when or if we ever see that again? But Dan, I'm not even going to bother with you on Resident Evil 8 here. We'll let we'll let Bert speak to this because I know he's excited.
Let me take my wet blanket off here. Hold on.
Yeah, you can put that to the side. And while we're on it here, Wilmy said his favorite controller is actually the Astro, which I know, Dan, we talked about in our comparison video and you used for a while. I don't know, Wilmy, if you've used the Nacon, the newest Nacon, because they've evolved it like 4 times now, but it's up there. The Astro was a little almost too big to me. It was like bulky, whereas the Nacon really feels like a PS4 Elite. I mean, it's the closest thing, I think, to a PS4 Elite controller. So anyway, Bert, Resident Evil.
Oh, okay. By the way, the Astro felt cool, but it was too big. It's too big for these hands, and I got big hands. So Resident Evil 8 looks. I haven't seen anything for it outside of these the talking points on it, but to me, it does excite me. We were talking about wanting to go back to the FPS Resident Evil world. I'm really excited for it. I'm glad Chris Redfield's back. He's one of my favorite characters from the Resident Evil universe. And I guess there's a witch or something that follows you around in this one. Kind of in Resident Evil 7, there was Jack, who I guess is the grandpa or the father. He would follow you around with a chainsaw, and you fight him numerous times. In every RE, there's always some guy that chases you around. So I wonder what she's going to be like. I hope it's cool, and they bring maybe some psychological elements to it like they did in the last one. But I am happy that they are going back to the FPS world. That's the biggest piece of news for me. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I really liked Resident Evil 7. I think we talked before around, the very kind of end pieces of Resident Evil 7 kind of fell off a little bit, but the first, 3/4 of that game are absolutely incredible, and I like the first-person perspective. So really excited for this, and if it comes early in the year, we like this year we saw January and February were pretty flat, so I hope they release it nice and early, and it'd be the big first release of 2021 on Series X and PS5 too. Should be, right? Should be optimized, so that'll be fantastic. All right, so Xbox came out. We're talking about all the events going digital and what's obviously E3. We've talked about it at length. Gamescom is already planning to go digital now. Xbox came out last week and said that all of their events are going to be digital only until at least July of 2021.
Yikes.
Which is over a year from now. But it's also a really interesting statement that they said July 2021 because it goes without saying that E3 is usually held in June or always held in June. And so what does that mean for E3 2021? Now, as everyone knows, Xbox isn't really associated with E3 per se, but they do hold their own event, and they hold a big event in their theater right next door. So it's kind of interesting for them to come out and say they're going to be digital only until at least July 2021 and what that means for the future of these game shows. So I know we've talked a little bit around lost my train of thought. We've talked a little bit around, with all the companies being forced to go digital over the next few months or several months, they may realize, right, we can accomplish everything that we want to accomplish being digital and save money in the process. So, what do you guys think? Do you think we're at a place now where after all of this virus has kind of forced companies to do this, are we at a place where these shows, if they're not like PAX, where it's dedicated for fans to come and meet with developers and play games, shows like E3, shows like Gamescom, are they going to be forced to change permanently?
I think they are. I think because you said, was it Nintendo that went first and started doing all the digital sort of delivery of the sort of content at first? Was it?
Yeah, so they're weird, right? Well, in many ways, Nintendo's weird, but they still had a show floor at E3 and a big presence at E3, a big booth and all that, but they did their actual conference digital for the past few years.
So it might be that case. It might be a case of the actual conference is just like a big, spectacle. Digital spectacle. I mean, I for one think it's cool. I watched it on YouTube. I watched Xbox on YouTube for the night. We're on Twitter, weren't we? I was showing you. I was watching it. But yeah, and exactly to your point, Ames. If these guys say, look at the data behind this, and they say, right, this is what we did pre This is what we did in E3 all around the actual physical presence. And you know what? This year, this is what we did digital. And has there been any difference in market share? No. They're just going to go full swing straight into digital, I think. And, we'll see. We'll see. But I, for one, like to go to events. And haven't been to one for a long time. But I think it's the social thing, going out with your friends, meeting the actual people who make the games, the whole experience. That needs to continue. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and I think here in the States, Carl, is that's where PAX really came in. PAX was from the beginning dedicated to be a fan show, right? So it's very similar in scope and where you can go play new games, you can meet developers and all that, but it's designed in a way that's for the fans. It's not like it's not a business convention, right? Where you're trying to make deals, and which E3 was always a business convention in its history. Real quick, Wilmy said PS4 and Vita owners have already learned to get digital satisfaction via the Pornhub app. Probably true. Probably true.
Anytime you see anybody on the internet browser on any console, they are not shopping or something else. They're doing something else.
I was just about to say, Bert, we always joke about that. We'll see a friend who'll be like on Internet Explorer, be like, all right, so he's having a go. And, he's not gaming at the moment, but Dizzy, that's a good point, Dizzy. Dizzy said that QuakeCon is the funnest. I've heard that as well. I've never been to QuakeCon, but I hear it's an absolute blast. It was a shame that got canceled this year too. So we'll see. Comes back to next year. Dan, what do you think, man?
I mean, that's weird that they're going for July 2021, but like you guys said, this is kind of the way it's going, and especially right now, that you kind of have to. But that far out, who the hell knows? Everybody says E3 is dying. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. I know Jeff Keighley doesn't show up there. It's really not an event. So it's just, I don't know, man. It's for me. I much rather sit here and mostly because I don't like people generally. Big crowds really bother me a lot. It'd be cool to actually meet some people that we've talked to that are nice people. That would be awesome. Short of that, I just as well sit here and check it out on TV. So I'm good with that. Plus, I imagine I don't know why, but every time I think of an E3 or something like that, it's just I get this sense of what it smells like. I just feel like it would smell really bad for the most part. Maybe maybe that's a stereotype, but maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. I've never been there. So how does it smell, guys? You guys been there? It smells pretty good.
Yeah. There's some interesting people. I will say that you see a lot of interesting. That's any convention, right? You go to any Comic-Con or
Comic-Con would probably be 10 times.
Yeah, major convention. And by the way, Diego said he does his Microsoft Rewards points in the browser.
Yeah.
There's an app for that.
Rewards. Mm-hmm.
Now, wait a minute. To be fair, the social club on Rockstar Games, if you click on that, it automatically takes you to the web browser.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those. I close them real quickly because I don't want you guys thinking, bad thoughts.
That's what people think. I've never actually used it to surf anything, but it's always popped up with Ubisoft stuff. Sometimes it pops up. I don't know
we see Dan on there. He's like, that was the social club app. And then it's last played Red Dead 4 months ago. Sure was, Dan.
When Diego goes on there, he's always a winner with rewards.
He wins every time the app loads up.
Every time.
Here's the thing, though. Aren't most people's consoles and stuff in the middle of the living room? I mean, if they live with anybody, it'd be super awkward. It's what are you doing on your PlayStation?
I've got my own private space, if you know what I mean.
I mean, yeah. I don't even see that kind of stuff in 4K. I really don't. Too much.
Native 4K.
Yeah.
Bert,
I don't want to be able to see what she ate the night.
Wowzer.
Getting back to the game shows, Bert. I know that you were a little wet blanket on E3 to begin with. Do you foresee, in your opinion, them going kind of not fully digital, but basically forcing a lot of these companies to go digital?
Yeah, I've got two viewpoints to the whole thing. So, a business perspective, if it's one thing that this whole virus thing has caused, is that we've learned that doing everything in person is not necessary. Sometimes a phone call, sometimes Zoom calls, these types of things. You can do a lot of business through that via email. And we've learned that simply from work. I think from a business perspective, there'll be a lot more you can do that way. From a fan perspective, I think getting stuff in people's living rooms, sending demos out for people to download to check out a game, I think that will be the future of things. I think not only Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, they will no longer hold off on big announcements like that anymore. They'll wait for an Inside Xbox or a Nintendo Play or whatever it is that's coming to give those announcements now, or even the Video Game Awards. If that continues to be a big thing, we noticed this past year, that was a landing spot for Microsoft to release the Xbox Series X, and I think people will start doing that. And the problem I had with E3 as a whole is it just got too big, too many people trying to play in very small areas, and you would wait 3-4 hours to get a 10-minute gameplay of Call of Duty. And to me, that's not worth it. Imagine seeing, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 pudges walking around waiting in line together. That just wouldn't work out. It's not fun. And even from a media perspective, we went media last year, and we were waiting hours to play Star Wars Lego or something like that.
Yeah,
and it's just media.
That's true, but part of that was our fault because we missed the first full media-only day.
That is true. But I do think that there still will be conventions. I think they will slowly turn more into a fan thing versus a business and fan thing. I think they'll separate themselves, and I don't think they're as necessary as a lot of people do. I think they're fun, but I don't think they're necessary.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's a very good point around, I think many of us, Karl and I were talking about this actually past couple of weeks, right? Being kind of forced to work technical roles at home. Everyone's at home. And Bert, you're doing the same thing, and just having those big WebExes or Zoom or whatever your Microsoft Teams, whatever you're using, everything is remote right now. And it's one of the big conversations we've had in my company, and it's a big company, is around, how does this change the way we do business in the future? And I think that's going to be a conversation for, like you said, Bert, for basically everything, not just one single industry. I think globally industries are thinking about that. So, yeah, I agree. So someone reminded me I forgot to do a giveaway. So if you kind of saw me typing away over here, I was actually taking everyone in the chat and putting them into a sheet and doing the whole RNG thing like I normally do when I do a Twitter giveaway. And
do we want to give anybody a last second chance to get in, or you want to just run it?
No, because I was supposed to do it earlier. Okay. I was going to do it earlier. So anyway, long story short, we're giving away 2 $10 gift cards, your platform of choice. The first winner today is Z Black. Z Black, congrats, man. So I will reach out to you via DM on Twitter. Tell me what platform you want. You can throw your platform in the chat if you want. And I'll get you over a $10 code, man. So congrats. Thanks for stopping by today and keeping the chat going. And Archimedes, what's up, brother? Good to see you in the chat. Archimedes joined us last week for our live show, and he's over in Germany. So it's, what do we say, 7? It's like 8:15 over there for you. Was it 7:15 for you, Karl?
It certainly is. Yep.
Yeah. So thanks for stopping by. All right, a couple more topics to talk about, guys. So we want to talk about Call of Duty real quick. We talk about Warzone. So I know Bert and I have been playing it a lot. Bert probably even more than me. We've got a core group that plays, near nightly, right? It just continues to get better. The Season 3 update that came earlier this week added a whole bunch of new weapons and some notable upgrades, and I think it's just a fantastic game. And Karl, I know we've been trying to hook up on it. Damn time zone difference, but they announced just yesterday that they have now passed, in less than a month, 50 million players. So it just goes to show you, like we talked about before, when you take Call of Duty, you take Battle Royale, and you take free, that's a recipe for getting a lot of people playing your game. And I think it was Matt Piscatella, one of the analysts that we talked to on Twitter that does, industry analysts on sales and things. He said that Modern Warfare sales have increased as well. The game just continues to sell very, very well. So 2 things here, guys. I want to just get your comments on Warzone, still playing it, Karl, and, what do you think of Season 3 if you've played it yet? But also the larger conversation, because I know, Dan, you're not really into Warzone, but larger conversation on Call of Duty is an annual franchise, and they continue to release annually. They've already got a game plan for this fall, but it's so weird to me that we're in April. Modern Warfare is continuing to sell well. Warzone is blowing the roof off in players and people getting on and enjoying the game, buying the season passes. But then they're going to release a new Call of Duty in 5 months? It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
On
So
top
Karl's,
of the remaster that just came out.
yeah,
Oh.
and then campaign remastered too. I forgot about. Thanks. So yeah, so it's almost like Call of Duty is everywhere and it's blowing up right now, and it's Activision, so that shouldn't be surprising. But it just seems weird with all this momentum and a free-to-play battle royale and Modern Warfare just doing so well. It's the best-selling Call of Duty this entire generation. Why would you a few months later release a whole new entry with a new multiplayer?
I don't think that there's going to be a new Warzone. I think Warzone's just going to be iterative. It's going to be seasons. You're just going to get another season and another season, and then I think what was that? What's that other big battle royale that's
Apex Legends,
and there's another one as well.
Fortnite, PUBG.
Yeah, Fortnite. Yeah, Fortnite with the big media event online. There was a black hole, and it was just.
Oh, yeah, that's Fortnite. Yeah,
Fortnite. You're probably going to see something like that with Call of Duty. I think with Warzone, it's going to be iterative, but to the point that the remaster was good. I played that. I bought that. It was only £20, 20 of my British pounds, but it was pretty good.
How long? How long? It's just the campaign. How long did you beat it?
I beat it in about 4 hours, 4.5 hours.
Jeez.
I was just steamroll right the way through it. It was not completely wrong, but I think my partner came in once or twice just to ply me with tea, but I just continued to go right the way through it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it is a bit weird. But I think we're just going to see another multiplayer with the new Call of Duty. And I can't see them replacing Warzone. I just don't see it. It's weird. You can't do that. You can just make a new one. I don't know, but I'm with you, Ains, on that one. It just seems strange, especially when it's doing so well.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it seems odd. Go ahead, Bert.
The rumor is that it's going to be a Black Ops reboot, is what I'm hearing. One of the focuses of Black Ops is the zombies, pretty much campaign, and the zombies multiplayer mode. So I think what they'll probably do is keep Warzone kind of what it's doing, and then focus this one into the zombies mode, and as well with a good campaign is what I think they might do. But it's a yearly release. It does really well. It's interesting how the Modern Warfare guys don't care for the zombies and the Black Ops, and the Black Ops guys don't care for the Modern Warfare type games. So it's weird how they're kind of split. It still sells gangbusters, and there's still tons of people playing. But I think that's what it's going to be. My quick opinion on Season 3, I think it's been great. Call of Duty's done something really interesting this time, and they've kept people engaged throughout all these different months with just adding tiny little changes, whether it be a skin or a new gun. And it's cheap. You're looking at $5 to $10, and you can also earn points while playing the game that make each season pass cheaper each time. This past season pass, I paid $2 for Season 3 because I earned CP points while just playing the game. But Warzone continually gets better. I think they need to fix their lag issues. I think there's been a lot of cheaters that have been banned as of late. I think it's good that they're doing that. But overall, it's also coming in at that free $99 price tag to play Warzone. So, why would you not play it on top of being cross-platform between PlayStation, Xbox, and PC? So it's a lot of winnings going on for that. Good for them. It's been a blast.
Yeah, agree with everything you said. Dan,
like these seasons are like a week long.
it feels like that, but they're 3 months.
60 days. They're 60 days.
2 months in a Call of Duty. 2 months.
Is that right? Okay, yeah. I'm just like, man, this is just.
I think it's 3 months in PUBG and Apex, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it's longer.
Yeah.
I've always been the story guy, so I've always liked the campaign stuff.
Story's good at it. Yep.
So and the problem is, now we're getting to the point where if they are rebooting the Black Ops stuff, they do it just as good of a job as they did with this one. Fantastic. But if not, I don't know, man. I've got to at some point put my foot down and just say, all right, this is enough of this, from a campaign standpoint, But it's awesome. My son plays it a lot. He loves that game. So
you did play the Modern Warfare campaign, right?
Oh yeah, I did the review, I think, didn't I?
I don't know. I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, that was, and then somebody else. I think Bert, you did the multiplayer one.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
split.
did do that. Yeah.
Yep. So
Okay.
yeah, it was awesome. But at that point, it's just, to me, it's always the same thing over and over again. So I just can't do it. I can't.
Yeah, I thought the campaign was fantastic. This one, in terms of multiplayer, has been probably my favorite Call of Duty in a very long time. I think it's the best it's been this generation. And I'm not a big Treyarch fan. I didn't care for Black Ops 4 at all. I'm just not a big Black Ops guy. So in terms of Call of Duty, unless they do like a really good campaign, like Bert just said, then I'll probably just skip this year's. But yeah, it's a good point about zombies, Bert. I hadn't thought about that. If you release a Black Ops reboot with the campaign and then a big zombies mode and just let Warzone be Warzone, or continue along as that's free to play, that's probably a good route for them to go, and they'll just make money from every direction as they always do. So. All right, so Z Black said, give the code to someone else. So while you guys were doing that, I re-rolled it, and Dizzy came up. So I don't know if Dizzy's still here in the chat. He was earlier. So Dizzy, if you're out there and still listening, man, say something, and I'll get you a code for whatever platform you want. If not, I'll just reach out to Dizzy after the show. So... one other thing I want to talk about is Grounded. So, we had an Inside Xbox. There really wasn't too much. It was a pretty light show in terms of content. The focus was really on Grounded and Gears Tactics. And so I wanted to touch on those two things real quick. So we learned Gears Tactics comes out April 28th, PC only to start. But they did later announce, we already knew it was coming to Xbox and console, but they did announce it's actually coming this year, which I didn't think was going to happen. I figured that would be a lot longer because obviously when you take an RTS or a XCOM style game from PC and you've got to port over to controller management, that can take some time, but pretty cool there. And then Grounded is going into early access in late July 28th. It's going to be on Steam. It's going to be game preview, Xbox Insiders, Game Pass, all that jazz. So let's touch on these real quick, guys. I'll let you guys go first, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So, Dan, let's start with you on this one.
I like the survival thing. I've always been a big fan of those kind of games if they're accessible, where it's not like, every step you take is, potentially you're going to explode or something. You know what I mean? I like to have those kind of games where, just if they do it right, it could be really fun. I don't care about what graphics look like. I love Sea of Thieves. I think the graphics are awesome on it.
Sea of Thieves is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a super fun game. That's what the key is to this. And it looks pretty cool. It's kind of obviously got that kind of vibe with Honey I Shrunk Your Kids kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see how it turns out. If there's a point where those kind of survival games kind of tip. You've got to have enough to keep the person interested, but also, not too much to where it makes it super complicated, and I think it took, like say State of Decay, it kind of took a little while for them to kind of find that balance, and I think they finally did. It's a really good game. The Juggernaut Edition is really, really fun. It's got that kind of, survival aspect. I don't know if there's like a whole lot of story or anything involved in it, but I'm curious to see what it is. It's going to be on Game Pass, right? So fantastic. Another free game for me.
Yeah. You are you going to be playing Gears Tactics at all? Trying it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll be playing that on the PC day one. So I love XCOM games. I love those kind of strategy games too. So we'll see how it is, man. It looks really good.
Yeah, I won't give my whole thoughts yet, but yeah, I'm actually surprised. You guys know I'm a massive Gears fan, and I was already excited for this, but the more I've read about it this week and the more they've shown, it actually looks way deeper and a bigger game than I thought it was going to be, which is impressive. So, Karl, are you getting in on either of these?
Grounded sort of intrigues me, I'm going to say. Yeah, so I might give it a try. If it's on Game Pass, I might give it a try. But yeah, to Dan's point, I just don't want it to be too complex. I just want it to be fun, easy to jump into, easy to get just ease with that type of game. But we'll see. As for Gears Tactics, I'm just not a tactical person at all.
Okay.
I couldn't even play that game if I tried, to be honest. It will fall apart. So yeah, Grounded for me.
Cool. Yeah, Grounded looks like that kind of game you could just jump into with some friends and just have a good time. I'm hoping that's what it is. I agree with you guys. If there's too many systems, like underlying systems in that game, I think it would actually hurt it instead of help it. So we'll see. Bert, what are your thoughts, man? I know you're a Gears fan as well.
Don't really care for Grounded at all. If it turns into a fun multiplayer game and you want to play with some friends on a Saturday night or something, that's about as far as it'll go for me. But I'm more looking forward to Gears Tactics. Looks amazing. To your point, I had no idea it was going to look that good. I didn't know it was going to be that deep. So I'm really excited to see that one. But something that actually impressed me more from the Xbox presentation was Minecraft Dungeons. To me, that looks awesome.
Looks incredible.
That I'm more excited about than Grounded. I don't care for Grounded that much at all. It's a cool concept.
All right, we get it.
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta put the wet blanket back on.
We heard you. Your mic's working. You're good.
Did you hear me about not excited about Grounded?
Yeah, I looked and it looked like your ass was in the camera. I swear to God. Do that again. It looked like you put your.
Do that again? Really?
Yeah, do that. You're like right up there. I turned away and I looked back and I thought I was looking at Bert's ass.
But no, it's good you brought up Dungeons. I had actually forgotten about it, but it does look incredible. And all the previews that have gone up for it have only made it sound even better. It sounds like a lighthearted Diablo 3, which is great.
Yep, it does. I hear it's pretty deep too. It's not just your, boring whatever Minecraft world. There's a lot of stuff you can do with the world. So I'm really excited about it.
And I don't know if you guys saw, but they released the map, the official game world map this week for it, and it's huge. It's massive. So I hope it's really deep, and I hope I always talk with ARPGs around end game. I hope there's an end game of it, so it doesn't get boring after a few hours. But for me, Gears Tactics looks fantastic. Knowing that the lead character is Kate Diaz's dad. They actually did a novel again. So if you remember, they did a book prior to Gears 5 releasing, which ties to the story. There's actually a new book out that ties to this story. And they announced, I don't know if you guys saw, but they said minimum to do to kind of get through this game and do the full story is like 40 hours. So, which is a way bigger game than I thought it was going to be. It looks fantastic. We put up an article yesterday. They did a developer blog around the boss battles. So you fight things like Corpsers and Brumox and whatnot. And they're like multi-stage puzzle battles. So if you haven't checked that out, it sounds even more amazing. So I think Gears Tactics is going to be incredible.
Really funny comment from Dizzy here. I'm stoked for Grounded, but I also allowed myself to be punished with Ark for years. Ark is brutal, man. That is a tough game to get into.
I haven't played it. I've had it downloaded forever, but I've heard it's a really hard game for new players.
Yep.
Like you just get beat up on when you first get in that game.
That's on the box art.
It's just 4 people beating on someone. Dungeons too, though, and so that's I don't know why I forgot about Dungeons, but we got Gears Tactics in 2 weeks, and then we got Dungeons a month after that, because that's late May, so it's gonna be fun. I'm still angry. I literally had May as Last of Us 2. Leave me alone. Last of Us 2 is releasing. I'm taking vacation time. Don't talk to me. I'm playing Last of Us 2, and God damn it, I'm pretty disappointed. All right, final piece of news before we get to, I just have to say that. Final piece of news before we get to what we're currently playing, and this is probably the biggest news of the day, so I just want to make sure everyone is aware of this, is that Stadia wants you to come play on their platform. They're giving you 2 months free of the Pro membership, so you get those amazing free games they offer every month, like Grid or a puzzle game from 2010. But they're out there. You don't get the controller. You have to use your own controller. But you can get 2 months free right now if you sign up. I don't know if Wilmy's still here. He might have left because he had to play some of the games on Stadia, but
he should be back in any minute.
Yeah, he should be back.
I'm feeling the love.
Bert, the wet blanket has put him completely asleep.
Did I say something?
But this was kind of funny. I don't think any other service, whether it's Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation, anything else that came out and said, hey, you can play these games for free. It gets a whole bunch of recognition. Stadia came out where we're giving away 2 months full subscription, pro subscription for free, and it landed like a wet blanket. I don't think I saw anyone respond to this at all.
It was so.
Yeah.
Well, I have been looking forward to playing Destiny 2 really bad, and also Grid 1. I really want to play Grid, so I might get into that right after we finish here.
So our Cog from Lords posted, he actually downloaded Destiny 2, to your point. He's a big Destiny player. He downloaded it on Stadia to try it, and he's like, I want to play a PvP match, but there's 10 people online in PvP on Destiny 2 on Stadia. I mean, it's just I don't know what's going on with them. And I know, we talked a few weeks ago, they just opened a brand new development studio, which is going to make exclusive games for Stadia.
God damn it, what a waste of talent.
That's where
I just don't know. How do you, I mean, you're Google, so the money's there, right? They can support it if they want to, but how do you support Stadia for a couple years before you actually have exclusive titles? It just doesn't seem feasible to me.
just recent titles, just something new.
Google's just going to leave Stadia to die in the woods. That's what's going to happen.
They're going to old yeller it.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, the launch was just ridiculous. Then you've got it's supposed to be more powerful, right? And it's supposed to be than the X.
It's supposed to, but any of the games that run it doesn't run them as well, really. You know, they talked about 4K, they talked about 10 teraflops, and when they actually run it in reality, it's not happening.
No. It'll die, and no one will care, and the controls.
Damn, how did you send your wet blanket so quick over the pond to Karl there, Bert? That was fast.
Well, got that express mail, got that Royal Mail speed going.
That Royal Mail. Yeah. You put those Nikes on and ran across the pond.
That's right. That's right.
The whole development thing is like the worst part about the whole thing. It's like having like this brilliant scientist come over and work on your toilet. You know, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I don't understand why you would take, you know, it was the lady from the
Jade
Sony
Raymond,
Santa Monica, right? Yeah.
Well, no, Jade Raymond is one of the heads of Stadia, and then the studio head of Sony Santa Monica is now leading the new studio for Stadia. Yes.
Right. Yeah. That huge. I mean, the money had to be so good. I mean, it had to be like ridiculously good. Yeah. Like at some point, you just got to go. You know.
Well, like I told you, man, she's a little older, right? So if you're at the tail end of your career and you've had a career that put out titles like God of War, right? You're studio head for Sony and PlayStation for all those years. Why? Honestly, if you want to work for like 4 or 5 more years, you take those Google bucks.
Oh yeah.
You know, make that money for a few years, and then you're retired. I mean, there's not a lot of people that would turn that down.
I would for sure do it. It just makes me sad that
right.
You would for sure do it
with her talent. Yeah, I mean, you could go pretty much anywhere you wanted to, and you chose to go to something that was dead on arrival, basically. And I'm sorry, Google. I mean, I've been with, you know, I've got an Android phone, I've got Google Fiber here, I've got, you know, I'm in your ecosystem, and I know how shitty you are. So, if I plugged in and I got Stadia, say for my, you know, I can't even just naturally or natively put it on, you know, since I have Google Fiber. I'd have to get like a Chromecast or something, and you know, it would run like garbage. You know, that's my problem. You know, they just, like Karl said, they just kind of let things go when they just aren't making enough money for them. You know, and it just doesn't make any sense. And there's gonna be like 5 people that play this game that when it comes out in 5 years, you know, because that's all that'll be left.
Watch it be an incredible game that no one plays. Yeah, that'd be just
people are gonna be able to, like, I gotta dust off my controller.
So funny enough, Z Black just said he said his brother went to school with Jade Raymond. So that's pretty cool.
She's awesome.
Yeah,
not in the right place.
And Matt, what's up, man? So Matt, that partially was our fault. So we actually, 12 o'clock came around, and we started the show, and then realized it never actually went live. So we talked for about 4 minutes before even turning the broadcast on. So you can blame that one on us. Yeah. But good to see you in chat, man. So. All right, let's talk about what we're playing. I want to hear about some different games, man. Bert, let's start with you. What have you been up to? I know you've been playing all kinds of random stuff. So.
Yeah, with this shelter-in-place policy we got going on here, I've had a lot of extra time to play games. I went back and played Sea of Solitude. It was a game that I saw during one of the E3s that interested me quite a bit.
It was last year.
Yeah, and it's a pretty good game. I mean, it's fun. It needed a little bit more polish solely on the animations of the characters moving around, but the overall game's pretty good. You could finish it up in about 12 hours. It's pretty fun. Went back and actually invested time into Nier Automata now that it's on Xbox Game Pass. I got about halfway through the first playthrough on PlayStation, and now I finished all 4 playthroughs and endings, and it's fantastic. It has jumped into one of my top 10 games of this past generation. It's absolutely amazing. Highly recommend it. If you're stuck somewhere, I highly suggest passing through it. The first playthrough is actually the worst, and then it just gets better and better and better every time you play. Been playing a ton of Warzone Season 3, And then I'm actually playing Shadow of Colossus on the PlayStation 4. I'm on the 6th Colossus right now, so having a good time with the extra time.
God, you're playing a bunch of games I couldn't get into. I like it.
Someone's got to do it.
Dan, what you been up to, man?
Kind of a little bit of everything. So I reinstalled. Actually, I started Mad Max again. I really want to get.
I finished that too. I forgot.
Yeah, that's one of them I really want to get through because I've always gotten to like a certain point and then something else has come out or something. That's a big one, and I want to do We Happy Few if I could figure out what the hell is happening after a certain point. I just always get to this one point. It's the same thing, and it's like, what do I do now?
Stick with it, man. That's a good game. It's got a really good story.
Yeah, I really want to try that out. And I've been playing Breakpoint quite a bit, right? And so then I was like, you know what? I want to go back to Wildlands and see how it compares to it now, you know, that I've gone through Breakpoint twice. And Wildlands is still better. Like, everything is the only thing that I think Breakpoint has on it is like your little save point areas, and the graphics are slightly better, but not really enough to make a difference. So Wildlands for me is still the king, and I've been playing a little bit of that, and then I'm about to jump back on Division 2 also because I need to get the this new thing going or whatever it is. Their monthly.
They got a new event going on. Yeah,
some new event. So I'll jump on there and see how that's working out. Bought Animal Crossing, still haven't played it. Kids are playing it. Just a shout out to Nintendo, you scrubs. The fact that you can only have one island per Switch is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. So if my son is the one to play on their Switch, they share one. They can technically have two profiles on the same island, if I understand correctly, but they can't have their own island and their own save. So I'm not sure I know why they did it. You know, I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, well, you have to have your own copy of the game to access and enjoy. It's another thing to say you have to have your own console to have your own save. All right. So screw you, Nintendo. I love you, but screw you for doing stupid stuff like this.
Nintendo does stuff like that all the time, and they get away with it.
Yeah, I've got 3 Switches, right?
See,
right?
It works.
Yes, this is because of Nintendo. I hate them. God, I hate them.
So I understand. You're saying you can have multiple profiles on a Switch, right?
Yes.
You could even have multiple copies of the game, but locked to the actual physical console, you can only have one island in Animal Crossing.
Yes, per Switch.
That's bizarre, man. Yeah. That is bizarre. Why would you not even allow a single person to make multiple islands if they want to? That's like saying Minecraft came out, you can only have one world.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
It makes sense from a, I want to bleed you dry standpoint, but short of that, I mean, it's just, God, it's so frustrating. Because I was like, I'm going to get in on it, but then, I've got my 3 boys, and I had no way to play now. So, because I have to play on their island, I don't want to screw up their island. I don't even know what it means, and I've never even played an Animal Crossing game. I just wanted to try it out.
I just see people posting memes about selling turnips, and I'm out of it. I don't know what's going on with that game.
I give it a shot so I can properly criticize it, but I guess that's never going to happen. So unless I go out and buy a new Switch, which are running about $800 right now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So Karl, I know you've been playing Warzone. We talk about that, and you've got some kids in the house as well, man. What have you guys been up to?
Well, the youngest has been playing Roblox constantly.
Okay. That's a huge game for the younger audience, man. It's huge.
I don't even get it. So I just go up to her sometimes and say, "What are you doing?" And she's saying, "I'm playing Prison Life, and I've got a shank." And by that, I just walk away. That's too deep for me. Stay out of the showers. But yeah, you know what? I downloaded Black Mesa on Steam.
Oh yeah.
Half-Life.
That's a Half-Life remake, right?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try. When I get a time, when everyone's out the living room and I've got the PC to myself, I'm gonna try getting through that again because I really love the original Half-Life. It was one of my favorite games.
Okay.
I might go back and revisit that. But other than that, I ain't playing no Stadia at all.
So you're like the rest of the world.
Yeah, I ain't playing it.
The people at Stadia were like, everyone's at home. They're going to have to be forced to play, and still nobody's playing Stadia. They just didn't go anywhere. It's a shame. So yeah, no, Black. Let me know about that because I played Half-Life years and years ago. I was never a huge fan of it, but I would really like to experience. And I saw that released on Steam, and I almost bought it. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna have time to play it. I'm playing too much tanks. I'm just tanking every day, and so I haven't even gone back to Doom yet, which is kind of my top priority. So, but I'm really interested to hear how good that is. I've seen really good things about it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That was like it was a fan-supported mod, right? That Valve eventually came out and officially supported, and now it's an official release, right?
Yeah, and it looks really good as well. It really improved all the way. The graphics and it looks like the AI and the NPCs have all been improved because they could never run and shoot. They'd always have to stop and shoot. But now they can run and shoot. There's all little changes like that. So yeah, I want to go back and revisit it because that was cool back in the day.
I think it's also fully running on the Source engine now too, which is nice.
Yeah. I think that happened when they did. We did a little story on the site. I just forget it off the top of my head of when Valve kind of stepped in and decided to help make it an official thing. So pretty cool. I think it's $20 or $30. I need to check that out.
15 quid for me.
Yeah. So I've got nothing to talk about on this playing, guys. It's the same past few weeks. I've been playing nothing but World of Tanks and some Warzone with these guys. That's it, literally. World of Tanks has all these damn events going on, and they just draw you in day over day. But I will say, and I mentioned this to Dan before, man, the one mode in World of Tanks right now is crazy. It's 30 on 30 tanks. So there's 60 tanks, and it's a 9-kilometer map. So if you just think about, how cool it is and how different the experience is every single time you play, because there's like 500 different tanks, you've got 60 players, and you've got a 9-kilometer map. It's just absolute chaos. So it's a hell of a lot of fun, and I just can't get away from it. So, and then what they do, of course, is, the more you play, you earn things in the game, and then if you get to the highest levels, you get these tokens, which you can unlock like high-end tanks for free. So they keep you playing day after day, which is smart, of course. But anyway, all right, I got another giveaway to do. So I owe someone else. Let me talk amongst yourselves just for a second. Let me make sure everyone's in here.
Yeah, how's it hanging?
Actually, Bert, we were going to talk about just real quick, talk about the long-term review of the Elite 2 you did.
Yeah, so we did the Elite Series 2 controller. A lot of people have just really been looking for feedback as to how it works long-term. If you remember, the Elite 1 was horrible long-term. Things would fall apart on it. The rubber would fall apart from the back. So we actually did a long-term review of it, and it landed almost exactly at the 6-month mark. Uploaded that, and we do a comparison to what the issues were on the first Elite controller and what we thought about it from a Series 2, and the comparisons, and also has it lasted that long. So a lot of good traffic on that one. It's gone really, really well.
Yeah.
We also did an Xbox original controller and Xbox 360 joystick replacement, in case you've been wondering how that works. I needed it for a number of my controllers, and so I just figured I'd do a DIY for that so people can see how that works. So.
Yeah, it's seen a really good response on the Elite 2 long-term review. A lot of nice comments. It's a really good video. So if you're one of those people that's kind of still on the fence about getting an Elite Series 2, or if you have an Elite 1 and you're wondering what the differences are and if it's truly worth it or not, I say this all the time, I don't know anyone that's kind of taken these things apart and messed with them more than Bert. So he knows what he's talking about. So take a look at that video. Any of you guys here know what Round Guard is? So Tim A in chat said he's playing Animal Crossing and Round Guard. I have no idea what Round Guard is.
Round Guard.
I hear Google is good for that.
I don't want to type in right now. Are you saying it's on Stadia? Is that what you're talking about?
It is on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, not on Stadia.
So it's developed by Google. It's just not on Stadia.
No. Looks like some kind of interesting.
Kind of an interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like some kind of like a shooter type game type thing, like kind of Rezo gun looking like, but I'm not sure. That can just looks like that from the screenshots.
Cool. All right. So funny enough, Matt came back to the chat here. He said he hasn't seen a real human being in days. I guess yeah. If you're living alone and you're locked down, yeah, I guess that would be true. I know you're working on that home theater, but Matt, congrats, man. Your name came up as the second giveaway winner. So if you're still there and listening, hit me up. Let me know what platform you want it for. You can just type it in chat, and I'll send it over with Dizzy's later today. So congrats. Thanks for stopping by. So that's about it, guys. I think we're going to wrap this up. I know, Bert, you just talked about your videos. I wanted to mention that we welcomed another new writer to the site yesterday, formally. His name is Elliot. He's actually Australian. And so it's been really funny working with him over the past several weeks because it's a 15-hour time difference from where I am.
Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
What a racist son of a bitch.
Wow. You see what happens when you invite a Mexican? You see what happens?
If you're Mexican, you can go around and just talk like an Australian.
Sorry, I just said Austrian. My bad.
That makes more sense. God damn.
So no, he's a really good guy. He has a YouTube channel and he's done some content for other sites, but he reached out to me a little while ago, and so we started talking, and he put up his first full article yesterday, which is an opinion piece on why Borderlands 3 is one of the best games of 2019 in his opinion. So it's getting him really, really good traction. So I just wanted to formally welcome him on the podcast. So Elliot, welcome. He goes by Direct Gaming. So you can check that out. That's on featured on the site right now. We've got some guests lined up for future episodes as well. I know I've been talking about that for a while. Now that we've gotten this whole live show kind of format worked out and the technology seems to be working well, we'll get some of those guys on. A lot of the guys you'll be familiar with are on other podcasts that you already check out. So, and then, we are expecting some big news this week from the Xbox side. Apparently, the Xbox team has partnered with other outlets, so IGN is apparently going to be talking about some big news come Monday, which we'll be covering, and it'll time out well because my next big article from is coming this week as well, which I've been talking about, which is on Xbox and moving into next gen. So it'll touch on some of those things as well. So want to close it out. Thank you guys, Bert. It's been awesome having you back, man. Really fun to kind of reflect on the Bitcast over the past few years. I forgot to throw the image up earlier for you guys that are still in chat. Here is the original image from Bitcast 0 showing how our professional studio-like quality that we were using at the time. So there's a good look. Pretty standard, really. You know, I'm laughing. Bert is wondering where his wet blanket is.
I was cold.
Oh, man.
We had a different logo. We had a different banner. We had all kinds of different things going on. I don't think we're even in the same houses as we are now. So lots changed in a few years. So pretty funny. But and then Karl, man, awesome to finally have you on. And you know, I know we talk offline a lot, but cool to have you on the podcast. We'll definitely have you back in the future. You got to keep us posted as to when the next article's coming, because that article you wrote was fantastic. And I always like to say that there's not a lot of sites out there that publish content like that. You know, if you want to go to Kotaku and hear about why easy mode is easy, you know, you can do that on a daily basis, you know, and enjoy yourself. But if you want to actually read about something important and that gives you some context to the gaming industry, articles like yours are fantastic. So, Karl, where can we find you? Anything you want to say, you know, before we head out?
Just on Twitter at the real KD 978. That's it. Yeah,
The real KD.
The real KD.
It was on Stadia, but you know, it doesn't matter. He's dead. But yeah.
Someone had already taken it on Stadia. You could probably go in on Stadia right now and get KD. No one's taking it.
You can get anything.
Yeah.
You can get
Carl.
Carl. You can get Carl on there.
Carl. I'm Carl. We should all sign up for Stadia with just our normal first names. Bert, Dan, Carl, Haynes. Everyone's on a first name basis. Every multiplayer lobby you get into, it's the same guys. So like, what's up, Dan? What's up, Dave?
Haynes is online. Sweet.
Yeah, sweet. Although, let's be honest, there's like 4 Ainses in the world. So, you know, whatever. Dan, what's going on, man? What do you want to close out with?
Just stay safe, everybody. Continue to quarantine, shelter in place.
Yeah. Unlike some of the people you see out there that are having parties still
everywhere,
and hanging out.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Crazy.
Happy Easter to everybody that celebrates it also.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Sure.
And Bert, I said all that stuff about you. I didn't actually let you speak. So
thanks. Anything else? Already spoke for me.
Go ahead, close it out, man.
No, I mean, thanks for listening. It's been fun. And send me an invite anytime you want that special third south of the border mentality. You know, happy to bring the wet blanket at any time. If you got something really fun going on and you're like, there's just too much fun on this
There's too much
Bitcast,
fun going on.
let me know.
All right, guys, man, it's been a blast. Episode 100. Thanks to everyone in chat. Thanks for stopping by. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll see you next week, possibly with another guest. We'll see. Till then.
Beautiful.